So welcome everybody to the latest Jodel webinar. Today it's my absolute pleasure to be working with Esmeralda Salgado and Vincent Everett, as well as the Nualang team. So we're going to be talking about the new GCSE content, which has been created by Esmeralda and Vincent using the Nualang platform. So we're going to hear all about that. We're going to start off with Stephen Kelly, who's going to give us a little introduction around Nualang and the features for those people that haven't seen it before. I have done a couple of webinars so far with different speakers about Nualang, but if you're completely new to Nualang, that's absolutely fine. Everybody's welcome here. You're going to get an idea of the sorts of activities you can do with Nualang. And then from there, we're going to have Esmeralda starting off by talking about the content that she has made and that she's tried out with her students in her school. And then Vincent's going to follow Esmeralda. And obviously at that point, it'll be amazing if we have lots of questions about the sorts of things that both Esmeralda and Vincent have been doing, trying out this tool in the classroom with real students. I'm sure you'll be absolutely fascinated by their experiences, and we would love to see lots of questions there. And then after that, we're going to hear more about the pilot, which is running at the moment, and how if you want to get involved with that, or if you're already involved, then that would be absolutely amazing. So today is the 4th of December, 2023, and it's a dark evening here in the UK. So it's great that we can all take part in this amazing webinar. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Stephen, who's going to give us a little introduction, a little flavor of what we can do with Nualang for language learning. And then we'll pass over to first Esmeralda, and then we'll go to Vincent from there. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over to Stephen. Here we go.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I'm Stephen, and I'm a software engineer on the Nualang team. And as Joe said, we just wanted to kind of set the scene, give you a little bit of a demo, show you some of the features that are inside Nualang if you haven't seen them yet, and then pass you over to Esmeralda and Vincent to talk about the GCSE content. So I'll just share my screen. So hopefully everybody can see that okay. And what we're looking at right now is a Nualang classroom. And this is going to be your starting point with Nualang. When you first create your account, we set you up with a classroom and you'll land on a screen just like this. I've set it up at the moment just as an example Spanish classroom. And you'll notice that I have two courses in the classroom. One of the courses is created by me, so it has my little avatar there. And then I have another course that is created by another teacher. So that's one of the important parts about Nualang, is that you can create your own content, or you could use content created by other teachers in the community. So this classroom here has a bit of both. So if you wanted to put courses into your classroom, what you do is there's a button here to add courses. The first screen you'll see is some courses that you've interacted with. Maybe you've joined them in the past, or you can search the library of courses created by other teachers, and you can sort by, popularity, by new courses that have been made, and select something that you think would be useful for your students to use. And if you don't quite find something that you're looking for, there's the option to create. So you have a suite of tools that you can go in there and build your own content that's perfect for your students, perfect for their level. You can even personalize it so elements of your students appear in the content. You have a student in the class that loves to play guitar, you get a phrases about, Stephen loves to play the guitar in the chosen language that you'd like to teach. And once you set up your classroom and you add your courses, you'll be able to invite the students to the classroom. So there's some instructions there that you can copy and share with your students. This is an invite link, and the students will have to create their account. So they could either do that with a username and password, or they can sign in with Google at the moment. And if you're set up with Google Classroom, there is a little bit of a link there that will make it a little bit easier for you. And when you set up your classroom, one of the important things to know is that generally you're probably going to keep it private. So you set up an enrollment key so that the students have to have the enrollment key to get access into your classroom. And if you have collaborators, other teachers that you'd like to work with in this classroom or even create content alongside you, you can add collaborators as well so they can work alongside you. So then just to show you some of the activities that are inside Nualang, I just have the little demo course that I've created. So if we clicked in here, you'll see it just a course that just has one section and one topic. And you can kind of see some of the creator tools that appear for me. So I can do things like hide sections, duplicate, create new sections. If I wanted to add a new topic, what I could do is pull in topics created from the community and use that as my starting point, or I could start completely from scratch. So you really can sort of build a course that's reusing content created by others, but also sort of customize it and personalize it so it's exactly what you're looking for. But if I just showed you what's inside of each topic, so this is where you're going to find your activities that the students are going to use. So the first three, translation, listening, and pronunciation, are your vocab exercises. And they're all generated based on this list of phrases here. So there's 15 phrases. And what you can do is you can add them one by one. So you put in the Spanish phrase that you'd like them to practice. You put in the translation that you'd like to accept as the correct answer. And you can attach a picture as well. Or if you'd like to make it a little bit quicker, you can upload it as a spreadsheet and do it in Excel or whichever sort of spreadsheet editor you'd like to use. And then that'll automatically generate the content for these first three exercises. And you can even do things like change the voice that the students will hear throughout the exercises. So you can see that I've selected Penelope, but I could select, say, Lupe.
Lupe.
You may not be able to hear that, but that's okay. So I just get a bit of a preview of what Lupe sounds like. I can do things like change the pitch and sort of make the voice sound a little bit younger, a little bit older, and sort of throughout the content, students get exposed to different voices from different regions. So you'll see that it's categorized by different sort of areas of the world. And we hope to add new voices as well in future releases of Nualang. So just to give you a quick sense of what some of the exercises look like. So if I went inside of the listening exercise, for example.
¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños?
I get to hear the phrase as a student. And then I can even do things like slow down the speech. I can listen to it as many times as I like. And then I've got to enter in the Spanish phrase. If the students need some help, they can use the accent helper, or they can even use the word bank to help them with the phrase. So in this case, it's cuando es tu cumpleaños. And these little characters that you see pop up, we call them the nulas. And we see them as the sort of chatty little helpers that are there to practice with you, practice with the students when you can't be there as the teacher. So they're there to sort of help the students as they progress through the exercises.
Soy el pequeño en mi familia.
So the students get to listen to those phrases, and then they get to move on to actually trying to pronounce them themselves.
¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños?
And we can even we get to hover over each word to listen to it.
¿Cuándo?
And then you get to do your best to pronounce that as well as you can. So, ¿cuándo es tu cumpleaños? So what it'll do is let us know which words it recognized correctly, and it'll even mark it orange if it felt like there could be some improvement on a particular word. So it recognizes correctly, but just that maybe we want to try again. And then when we try again, maybe focus on that word next time. The students can save those recordings if they choose to, which means that then as the teacher, you can go in and listen to it afterwards.
Soy el pequeño en mi familia.
So that's what the pronunciation exercise looks like. And those exercises are to build up the students' confidence with the vocabulary, and then they get to move into the role plays and the chatbots, which are more focused on conversation. So the role plays If I click in, you get a ton of different game modes that are based on a conversation between two characters. So if we just previewed what the conversation looks like, you can see we have our two little Nula characters, and they're going to have a conversation between each other, and the students are going to play different games using that conversation. The first one is story. That's really just to introduce the characters to the students, and they get to listen to it for the first time. But then they get to move into things like fill in the blanks, where if I click in here,
¿Tienes hermanos?
so I get to hear that spoken, and then there's a beep in place of the blanks, and then I would select what the correct answer is. So I say hola Pablo, and then check answer.
Sí, tengo. Hermano mayor y una menor. Yo soy el mediano en mi familia.
And then you would continue on inserting the blanks that you think would be appropriate. And then you even get to the point where you move on to speaking. So you actually get to act out a particular character. So you would select, I want to play the role of Pablo, and I get to simulate how that conversation would have felt with Enrique. And now that role play is a more scripted conversation. So you got to play the role of Pablo, you got to play the role of Enrique. But what if you wanted to respond in your own words? That's when you move on to the chatbot. So with the chatbots, it allows the students to do a variety of different things.
Preguntas usando tus propias palabras. Di comenzar cuando estés listo para empezar.
But one of the ways that the chatbots work is that you can respond in your own words. So in this particular exercise, the chatbot asks us questions and then we respond. And you can create chatbots that are more sort of quiz based, asking questions based on pictures. You can create a ton of different chatbots that do a ton of different things. So in this case, we need to say comenzar. Comenzar.
¿Cuándo es tu cumpleaños?
So we get asked, so when is our birthday? So mi cumpleaños es el 5 de junio.
¿Eres el mayor de tu familia?
And we sort of continue to answer questions. And just like the previous exercises, we can record these audio files, and then you get to listen back to the conversation. As a student, you can reflect yourself on how you sounded, but also as a teacher, you can listen to these recordings. And just finally, that's what the exercises look like. But just to give you an idea, how do you track this as a teacher? So if we went back to our classroom, you'll see that all of this is being tracked in your progress tab. So you'll be able to see, based on the courses that you've assigned, how the students are progressing through it, which modules they've completed, how often are they getting the answer correct when we change the filter, what are their pronunciation score when they do the speaking exercises. And you get this all sort of in this view here. You can deep dive and look into a particular student's activity by clicking in here further. And it's all sort of managed through your classroom. And that's sort of back where we started at the beginning. So this is your entry point and where you'll probably spend most of your time once you get everything set up. So that was just a quick, sort of hopefully quick run through of some of the features inside Nualang. So I really want to sort of pass it back to Esmeralda and Vincent so they can talk about the exciting sort of courses that they've been building. So
that was wonderful, Stephen. Thank you so much. And as I'm sure we can all see from the demo, that there's lots of things which lend themselves really nicely to the current GCSE and for the new GCSE, which is why I think it's a perfect mix to have new content on the platform that people can get their teeth into, can try out how they all work and what have you. And so when I was asked to suggest a couple of people to create content for the for Nualang for the new GCSE, I didn't hesitate at all. I immediately thought of Vincent and Esmeralda, and I was absolutely delighted when both said yes, and both have got involved. And now this is the bit you've all been waiting for, I'm sure, when we actually see how these ideas have been put into practice. So without further ado, we've decided to go for ladies first. Esmeralda's going to kick us off. She's going to talk for about 15 or 20 minutes around how she's been using the content that she's created in her own classroom with real children. and talking about her context and what have you, and the things which worked and the things that she has found have been particularly successful. So I would really love you to put in your questions in the chat. We haven't had any technical questions at all so far, or any questions to do with the content that we've seen. So I'd really encourage everyone to do that. And I just wanted to say as well, the class which Stephen was just showing was a demo class. Those are not real students; they're actually adults. So anyone worried about seeing the real names of people, they are not children. They are. It's a demo class. So I just wanted to clear that up if you were wondering. So without further ado, I'm now going to hand over to Esmeralda. So if you want to share your screen, Esmeralda, and we can hear about how you've been using Nualang with the new GCSE content in mind, with real students in a real school. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Joe. And let me share my screen. I'm really excited about this because we've been working quite hard, Vincent and I, and hopefully you will see basically what we've done. And the good thing as well is that we actually tried it with the students. So I'm delighted to share my experience as well. So it's been lovely to see what Stephen has done. He's basically showed you how it works, how you open a course and how you create a class, and how in the class you basically choose your courses. So the moment what you can see is my what I can see as a teacher. I don't want to show what my students see, okay, because obviously I don't want you to see the names, okay, for obvious reasons. And when you come here, this is our new GCSE Spanish course. So at the moment, we've chosen really 2 topics. I chose 2 topics and Vincent chose 2 other topics. The topics I chose were basically topics on things that probably we are now teaching at the moment. So although we are thinking about the new GCSE and the vocabulary, it is vocabulary that is in those famous GCSE list of vocabulary. They are perfectly usable and can be used at the moment as well with the current GCSE as well. So we wanted to fit a little bit of both worlds at the end of the day. Okay, so I chose to do travel and tourism, basically holidays, because I was teaching that with my students, and school and work, which would be the topic I would be teaching right afterwards as well. So I tried it mainly with my year 10s. Okay, and this is where I did that. When I did travel and tourism, I decided to divide it in 3 different areas: holidays in the present, holidays in the past tense, and ideal holidays, to include a little bit of conditional thing. Okay, and I had to create some model answers and conversations, and I just want to show you, 2 different models that I played with. So if you go to with the present, the holidays in the present, okay, okay, here it is. My role plays are a little bit of a real conversation, meaning that, let me say what I'm going to show you in a minute what I mean by that. So when you go to the role play and you preview the role play, Stephen, he did, to got a person who is Sergio, who asks typical questions from the GCSE for the new and the old one, okay? And the person, Enrique, answers. But then Sergio is not just like an interviewer. Sergio actually talks about his holidays as well, okay? So to make it, that is model 1, to make it basically a little more like a real conversation. So sometimes he just talks, asks a question, but sometimes, as you can see, Enrique also poses a questions to the interviewer. So actually, Sergio has to answer as well. Okay, and then they ask each other questions. So that's model 1 of one of the things I wanted. I wanted to do, and it would be lovely to see if any of you are using these resources, which model you prefer, and so that's model 1. However, I also did for other ones, like for example, the one on holidays in the past. If I go back to section, okay, when you got holidays in the past, at this point, the role plays are more like traditional questions and answers. So I did 2 models. I didn't know, and I played with it. And actually, my students didn't mind one or the other. So this is just can see a little bit more of the difference. So here you go, Conchita speaking, and Enrique answers. Enrique doesn't question Conchita. That's what I mean. Okay, so you got Conchita speaking, Enrique answering, Conchita asking, Enrique answers. So this is more like a more real exam conversation. However, not so real in the real world. In the real world, it would be just one person asking questions and answering. So I wanted to get a little bit of both flavors of what a real conversation looks like, and at the same time, what the GCSE exam requires. Okay, so it would be really good to know what are your thoughts on that. If we go, for example, you got different topics to go to. For example, we are now in the holidays in the past. You got all the phrases there, so all the students have got access to this. When they look at this, the screen from the students is basically what you see there, except the students don't have all these pencil areas or anything like that, because they're not, obviously they cannot delete or anything in there. My students, because I got a huge ability, a range of ability, very people on the very top, and some people that not so much on the top, somewhere in the middle. Some of the students like having the phrases, okay, and just to have a look at it, just to have it there was a little bit of a dictionary. So that was interesting. While other of my students, they more the high ability, they ignore them, okay, straight away there. Now, the exercises. So I asked my students to start with, play with it. So I explained how it works. I said it was progressive. They could start with the exercises, which would be activities based on the phrases, and they were ready. They could go to the role plays, which is more those phrases now put in a contest with questions and answers. And eventually they could go, which is what I'm very excited about, with the chatbot. Okay, and what I had at the beginning is like everybody wanted to do the exercises first, just to feel, to feel good about it. What I love about the exercises, especially the listening, is that...
En el este del país.
Sorry, let's restart the exercise.
Salí mucho.
It's not just a normal listening activities, and actually could be called dictation. So for the new GCSE, I think this is brilliant, because what the students can do is they can listen to it, and basically they write in Spanish exactly what they hear. If, as you can see, this is...
Salí mucho.
Is really fast. So this is what I loved as well. The students got this little watch there, so they can go to slow it down. Okay, my students use that. So they brought their headphones to the lesson, because they do have the laptops, and everybody put their headphones on, and they just...
Salí mucho.
Yeah, there you are, and they just write down salí mucho, and they will tell you if it's right or we right or wrong. And the good thing is, like Stephen said,
Fue una locura.
You can use the word bank. So those ones that were really struggling, they said, Miss, I don't understand anything. Okay, they actually have this to help them. So that was quite good. So this on its own already, I thought it was quite engaging, and it's practicing the sentences I want them to practice. And this is dictation. So basically, a winner for the new GCSE. Then after that, we got into the pronunciation as basically as...
¿Qué hiciste el año pasado para tus vacaciones?
As Stephen was saying, sorry, I just went back to the topic. But I want to say
¿Qué
pronunciation.
hiciste el año pasado para tus vacaciones?
This is a perfect opportunity for reading aloud. In the new exam, the students will need to read aloud. Okay, so this is a perfect opportunity where they actually listen to it, click a start,
Hiciste.
and they record themselves, basically speaking. And again, if they think it's too fast, with my students, most of them thought it was, they can slow it down. And then I had a couple of them that actually went for a word at a time, just for the first few exercises as well. Okay, so there were 27 sentences in here, and everybody was really engaged. And I thought they would get bored, but they didn't. And actually, what they loved is when they got the click to start, they tell you how accurate you are, right? Like 90%, 80%. And so they were like, oh my God, Miss, can you do it? Are you 100%? Are you 90%? So that there was a little bit of competition between them to see who got closest to their 100%. Then after that, my students, they loved the role plays. Okay, and they got the story, and I like the story again, because when they read it, sorry, I keep pressing that one, continue exercise. When they finish the story, right, reading it, and they listen to it and the answers and everything in there. At the end, they do have as well a little bit of a reading comprehension. So it's not just the listening that you can actually dictate, so dictation is also reading aloud, but at the same time it's also reading practice with questions in English, as it will be in the new GCSE, and answers in English as well. So again, my students found this really, really useful because they're very needy, and they were giving them loads and loads of practice in there. Okay, with the vocabulary before they were ready to speak themselves. Okay, I tried to include as well in the holidays things about cultural things. I was thinking about the new AQA, where they got actually a topic about festivals. So I include La Tomatina, which is a classic festival that we do. Okay, so this is one of the things actually they can do, just doing the reading activities. But as Stephen was saying, then they can do the filling the blanks, they acting it out, in listening and speaking. What I like about this, both listening and speaking, is that students were working at their own. Sorry, I keep saying go back to the thing there. Okay, the students can actually work at their own pace. So it gives you the flexibility. I had some students that were still doing the phrases, some students that were moving towards oh my God, the role plays, and some students that actually managed to go, or they just wanted to go to the chatbot. Okay, so that gives you, you can be everyone working at the same time. When you act it out, basically the idea is, what does Conchita say next? So at that point, they've been reading the story. So they're trying to memorize the questions and the kind of answers, what I think is very, very powerful, because most of the problems, what happens is that the students don't know what to say. So what I'm doing here is I'm modeling the answers that ideally I would like them to use in the GCSE exam. So they know at this point, because it's the first thing, it would be a question. ¿Qué hiciste?
Dime, ¿qué hiciste el año pasado para tus vacaciones?
Okay, so
El año pasado fui a España como siempre. Fui a Valencia, en el este del país.
Okay, and then it would be, what would be the next question? Because that, okay, what does Conchita say next? Or if they play Enrique, it would be the way around. So I like in this flexibility. And what I think is very good is that by the time a few of them, in a lesson, nobody go to the chatbot. Okay, so we spent a good hour for them with the sign up. They signed up with a Google account, so that was really easy, and it did work. We didn't have any problems whatsoever. They did most of the activities in here, and very few managed to go to the chat box. Then the next lesson that we use is, we're trying to use every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, we try to do listening or speaking. And they actually managed to go to the chat box. And that was where I thought it was like really, really, really nice. Because in the chat box, what I did is, okay, continue, restart the exercise. They get this, okay? And apologies, because I can see there is is information. I tried to change it, but it said to me that it was an error, so I couldn't change the I for no. But I'm telling them here what I want them to include. Okay, so these are the things that will give them points in the GCSE. Okay, so when you talk to the chat box, okay, make sure that you give opinions, make sure that you give a reason, and that's why the model questions that you see in the courses, they all include opinions, and they all include reasons. Include the list of activities that you did and one reason opinion. Use definitivamente, lo mejor fue. Say that you went to La Tomatina and explain what it is, and say hola to the bot to get started. So that's how you get all that. So they get this, and this is, make sure that in your conversation you include these elements. And I think that's really good, because it's basically, you can go, all the elements are going to give them the good grades, and you need to make sure this, you had a lot of practice, you've done all the role play, now is your turn. Can you do it now after lots of modeling? What is all it is about? So if I say now hola, okay, I could also speak, but you can also type it, and the magic should start now, because there you are.
Dime, ¿dónde fuiste el año pasado para tus vacaciones?
So now the students, what they have to do is just, without no notes at all, after doing all the exercises, what can they remember? Okay, and can they give the reasons? Can they give? So they click to start, they would record, and wherever they record, okay, so they say, el año pasado fui a España porque hace calor y es interesante. So you get that one there, and I click on that, okay?
¿Qué hiciste durante las vacaciones?
They can record themselves at that point. They can listen to themselves. That sometimes they don't like it. You know, they save the recording to the report and they try it as many times as possible. So I loved how it took them from just a few phrases, okay, to all the way to being able to speak freely about the different topics, okay? And as I said, I gave them the choice to start with. To the students, it's like, I didn't say, you do this, you do that. I said to them, start with the exercises, but when you think that you had enough or you think you are ready, go to the next level. So we start with translation, dictation, reading aloud, and then with the role plays until they get to the chat box. And actually, most of them, they decided to follow and do all the different exercises, which I thought it was quite interesting. And only some of them is like, oh, I'm ready, I'm going to go to the replay. But that was the few, not the right majority. It kept them occupied for the whole lesson. Everybody was engaged. And by school at the moment, that doesn't happen very, very often. They actually ask them, what do you think about it? Be honest at the end of the day. And they are brutally honest. And they said, Miss, I would do homework like this. I was one of the students. Oh, thank you very much. You would do homework like this. You wouldn't do it otherwise. And they would say, I think I could do homework like that. I think that's actually quite good. And so I thought that was very, very positive. And that is a little bit, what basically what I did. I chose and said, holidays and tourism, which is one of the big, the three choices. That is going to be in the new GCSE, is also obviously in the current one. And then school and work, which, for example, for AQA, that's going to be one of the topics. And so I included life at school, a little bit about part-time jobs and plans for the future, okay? So there are materials I can also use at the moment with my current students. And I think I'm gonna be quiet now. I don't know if there were any questions in there, but yes, that is everything. Yes, everything I did. Also, just to say that when I was thinking of the role plays, I was thinking as well of the photo card and the new photo card, because the new photo cards will have questions to do with the topic. So the new photo card is going to be like the current general conversation. But at the same time, I wanted the students to be able to communicate and to develop communicative skills regardless of the exams. I wanted to fit everything, basically, which is why if anyone is following is following my resources and is following basically this course, if you let me know which one do you think, which format you think is better, or you think it works best for your students. Format 1, which is more like the interviewer also answers questions, everybody's asking each other question, or form 2, which is what I'm using in most of them, which is like the classical, I'm the interviewer, I'm asking you questions, you answer questions. Okay, that is one the things basically that I would like you to see, what your thoughts are about it. So I think that's it. I think I talked too much now.
No, you did brilliantly. Perfectly on time, Esmeralda. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
It's all right.
I really enjoyed hearing about the way that you scaffolded the different the content and the progression leading up to the role play, rather than just jumping into the role play and then students not being able to have the language that they needed in order to do that. I think that was really, really clearly explained, and also how it's, as you say, how it's in line with the current GCSE as well as preparing for the new GCSE. I think there's really lots to explore there. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't had any questions in the chat yet, but I'm sure that you're all dying to ask questions. So feel free to put some more questions in the chat. And now we're going to thank you so much, Esmeralda. That was brilliant. And now we're going to hand over to Vincent, who's going to be showing us some ideas around French, I think I'm right in saying. Over to you, Vincent. So here, a different context. So maybe if you could explain your context as well, different context from maybe what Esmeralda has experienced, and we'll see how you got on with the materials that you created. Vincent, over to you.
Yeah, this might seem strange, but I'm going to show you how I originally wrote them in Word. I think you get a better picture then, and I can show you some of the aspects. We're just picking up on what Joe and Esmeralda were saying about how it's scaffolded, how it's built, how the language is there. Because with some of these products, you end up learning a lot of phrases, but you can't learn the whole of the language. You can't learn the whole of the GCSE as a collection of phrases that you hope pupils will remember because they saw it on a Tuesday in year 10. We've got to build in what is the language that's building up, the accumulation of language. So these ones, Esmeralda said some of hers are more of a conversation and some of them are more of an interview exam style. All of the French ones I did were very much question, answer, as if it were the conversation or the role play, or as Esmeralda says, the questions that come after the photo card or the questions that will come after the read aloud. But if you can see here, sorry, I need to move that. Need to move it right out of the way. I'll show you that there we go. All the opinions for a start are definitely in there. And then when we come to the reasons, things like can, can't, have to, want to, and then some conjugated verbs. So I watch television, I'm not sporty. A lot of these in the present tense. We play football with our friends. The things that the actual answers are built out of, rather than just hoping that they will remember the whole answer. They're constantly seeing over and over the same kind of expressions that they're always going to use, and they can always build their answers out of, whether it's in the role play or whatever. So this one here is free time, and it's very much built out of opinions. You can see I like, I prefer, I don't like, and then explaining why, because I have to, because I can't, because I want to, and then some verbs. This one's on free time. If we look at everyday life, for example, again, you can see the opinions, the reasons, because I can, some verbs there. So they're all built out of the same. So whatever topic we're doing, and then building in some of these super high frequency non-topic words like together, from time to time, sometimes, lots of, later on, too many, homework. So these words again will crop up in lots and lots of the different role plays that there are. Don't often go into the garden, deliberately sprinkling these in just to make their answers a bit better and to pick up on these words that are going to be so important in the new GCSE as well. Okay, cancel that. Here's another one, family occasions. This one, like one of Esmeralda's we saw, goes into the past tense a lot more. Tell me about a special occasion. I went to my cousin's wedding. All these past tenses. I wore some jeans. There were some
friends. I just
friends
checked, Vincent, because we're seeing the free time French in Word still. Is that right?
Okay. So I have to, right.
If you share your whole screen, would that be okay? And that might.
Yeah. How do I do that?
So if you go to New Share and
I've got it
on the screen one, probably it will say. And that means if you jump
screen
to screen, yeah. If you jump to the screen, we'll be able to see everything.
Gotcha. Thanks, Joe.
So right. Or if you stop sharing now, now we're on family occasions. That's all good. Now we're on family occasions.
Well, I'll do it backwards. We'll do family occasions. So here we are. This is family occasions. And again, it's question and answer. And this was, again, one of the topics that comes up in one of the popular textbooks for this kind of time of year. So if you're following this kind of course, that's where your year 10s might be now or next. Tell me about a special occasion. I went to my cousin's wedding. I wore some jeans. There were lots of people there. I went to my parents' wedding. So deliberately sprinkling this one with past tenses, along with the high frequency words, some, friends, only, words like often. I'll go back and show you the other one. I think I closed it. That's not going to work. And well, I'll show you. So they're all just in Word, and then we copy them into the template. Let's go back in here. Everyday life, we said, didn't we? We did free time first, then everyday life. So because I've closed it, I won't be able to show you the highlighting, but there. This. Right. So again, like the other one, there was opinions, and the can, can't have two words. Are we looking at the right one now, Joe? But this is where I was saying we
little bit.
sprinkled in these things like together, from time to time, sometimes, too many homework. So as well as building it around the opinions and then the reasons, we're sprinkling in these super high frequency words. So it's building it up. They're not just learning it phrasebook style. So you'll be able to see when I look at it in a minute. Question, tu préfères sortir avec tes amis ou rester à la maison? Je préfère rester chez moi. The sort of example, the sort of answer they could give in the conversation, and the teacher would follow it up with pourquoi. Or it could be in the role play. What do you prefer, going out with your friends or staying at home? And why? Parce que je peux sortir, parce que je peux voir ma famille. Tu fais quoi avec ta famille à la maison? Now, this is a bit thing that, for example, with the new one, it has to have a verb. It will be counted as only partially communicated if you said not a lot. So you have to follow it up with we watch telly together, or we do cooking. Right. So because I'm in share screen, I can hop to this. So this is one of those ones.
Qu'est-ce que tu aimes faire dans ton temps libre?
Qu'est-ce que tu aimes faire dans ton temps libre? This is the one that I like best to start off with, because it is literally, you have the question and then you're practicing the answer. So I would now click here. I need to move this thing again, get out of the way. There we go. J'aime lire et voir mes amis. And this is what I fell in love with Nualang when I saw it a couple of years ago. To start off with, you can talk to it, it listens to you, it transcribes it. It's perfect for having these conversations. Next.
J'aime lire et voir mes amis.
Tu aimes le sport?
Non, je ne suis pas très sportif. Okay, and it recognized I got perfect for that by the looks of it, all came up green. So that's one of the ones that I like. Now I need to work out how to get out of here.
Just click next, and then you could.
Yes, I need to get rid of that.
Non, je ne suis pas très sportif.
And then I can click here.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais avec tes amis?
So I was just going to show you the chatbot. So that's one of my favorite. Esmeralda's, everything she's shown you for the reading aloud, for the dictation, but also for building up their knowledge of the phrases so they can do it from memory, short-term memory. So I need to go back again. I need to get out of role plays. I want to go back to free time.
Just click on the cross.
Oh yeah,
Just
you're
basically
right.
close it, and that's it.
There we go.
That's it.
Thank you. And then, like Esmeralda, go straight to the chatbot. So if I click on free time, you'll see what you've got now is basically what was the role play with suggested answers that were designed to get a good grade at GCSE. Now what we're going to get. Give your own answers to these questions. You can use the French you've practiced, or you can make up your own answer in full sentences. Your teacher will be able to see a transcript, say bonjour to start. So I will do it. Bonjour. Click stop. And then you have to click send, which I didn't realize.
Qu'est-ce que tu aimes faire dans ton temps libre?
And now I can say whatever I like. I can say the one from the role play that we practiced, or I can say j'aime aller au parc jouer au foot avec mes amis, surtout s'il fait beau. I did not say that. I did not say surtout super beau. But anyway, that's my French for you.
Tu aimes le sport?
Bah oui, j'aime beaucoup faire du sport. And then click send. Okay.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais avec tes amis?
And sometimes I've put in for Mathieu here to say why, or give me an example, that kind of thing, just like you would in the exam. And then you can click on as a teacher, you click on it, see at a glance where they're up to, and then if you want to go in and actually listen to any of these. So yeah, those are the two things that I really love about this. And with my class, I try to jump more or less straight to them. So they will be doing the role play, as I showed you, by reading and then reading it aloud, almost as if you're taking part, but it's scripted, and then moving to this one where they could still recall some of the things that they'd said or make up their own answers because they're very good at I like, I love, I prefer, I can, I can't, I have to, I want to. I tried it with my Spanish class, so I did Esmeralda's one. And again, it's a very, very mixed ability class. There are some issues around, do you do it at home because they can do it on their phones? You do it in school, in which case, what are they using for headphones and microphones? So you need to think those things through. Tell them to bring a headphone with them, make sure it's compatible with the school things. Or if you've got sets of microphones at school, what I did was I got the laptops, that there's a set of laptops we can book out and they come with built-in microphones. So that wasn't a problem. Right, shall I stop sharing and then we can have questions?
Oh, fantastic, Vincent. Thank you. Well done. And well done for keeping your nerve as well. It was great. So we would love to see some questions. I'm sure you've all got some thoughts on what you've seen so far and how what you've seen aligns with the content for the new GCSE. I think that both Esmeralda and Vincent have done a fantastic job in demonstrating how they've been using the content they created. So if you do have any questions, it would be lovely to see them in the chat for those people watching live. Before we do any questions, we're going to have hopefully a few questions coming in the next few minutes. I'm going to pass over to Maliki now, who's going to talk a little bit about the pilot, which is currently running, and how you can get involved as well. So over to you, Maliki.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks to Vincent and Esmeralda. First of all, for those who are on the call or watching this and they want to join the pilot is still available to join. It runs until January 16th, so you can join. And I'm going to share in the chat the link that you can go to sign up for the pilot. So I've just done that there. So please do that. For the rest of you who are already in the pilot, I wanted just to highlight how you could add the additional content that was released at the end of last week. So if I just share my screen, and let's finish it. So share desktop. Hopefully you can see that now.
Yep.
So I'm just showing, for example, a classroom which has got the Spanish pilot GCSE course in it that we've gone through with Esmeralda. And now we have added in some additional what we call stories, authentic stories that are available for those who are a member of the pilot. So if you click in the classroom, if you just click add courses, which is down on the bottom right-hand side, when you add courses, you will see in your group, you'll see access to all of the courses that are available. There's 3 Spanish and 3 French courses available. They're short stories. So if I, for example, go into the, say, level 3, there's level 1, 2, and 3. So depending on what level you want, if I go and say, for example, this Spanish course here, just to select, and you add that in, and now this course becomes part of your classroom, and everybody who's already been invited to your classroom will now have access to this course. Only members of the pilot will have access to this, these authentic readers or stories. When you go into these readers, you'll see that there's already content has been created by the publisher of this particular book, and you can view the story by clicking on the view story, and you'll see the story there. You can jump to the different pages as an example. So this is a story around sustainability, I think, and you can read the story with your class and then do exercises according to the chapters or in the book. In this case, there's 6 chapters, and each chapter follows a very similar set of exercises that we've seen very previously with Vincent Esmeralda, with the translation, listening, pronunciation, role plays, and chatbots. So hopefully you'll enjoy those. They're a little bonus that we're giving to all members of the pilot. Okay, so I think we'll now head over back to Joe to manage the questions and answers.
That's fantastic. So just to clarify, that's a wonderful sort of bonus, as it were, for those people on the pilot. Is it possible to create your own stories, or is it just a question of being able to access the content which is there already?
No, you can definitely create your own stories using Nualang. So Nualang was built to allow teachers to create content themselves. However, not all teachers have the time or the inclination to do that. So for the rest of them, there's courses and stories have been created for them. So
fantastic. So we do have a couple of questions that have come in, which I'm going to hand over to either Stephen or Malachy. The first, which I was expecting would come up, is around cost. Could you give us an idea on how much Nualang would cost, either if it works per school license or per student license, or what have you? Can you give us an idea how that would work?
Yeah, so the good thing about the pilot is if you join the pilot, it's completely free. And if you join the pilot, you will have access to Nualang for the remaining of the school year. So that's the first thing. If you wish then to subscribe to Nualang at a later date after the pilot, or if you don't join the pilot, then we charge by student in a class. So if you have 30 students or 40 students or 100 students, that's the number. That's what we charge by. We don't charge for teachers, and we don't charge for the number of teachers or for the number of languages taught.
Fantastic. And does it depend on the size of the school, or it's just literally like the number of students, and that's?
Yeah, just literally the number of students.
Okay.
Not the size of the school.
That's fine. So if people want to find out exact sort of figures, as it were, if they just go along to the Nualang website, presumably, and they'll be able to find out all the prices there.
Correct. And there is a slightly cheaper price for the more students you pay for. So it gets to
Lovely. And if people, presumably people watching this, if they are not clear about the pricing, if they get in contact with yourselves, and they can then
Correct.
work out exactly what would work best in their own context. That's
correct. And for those who don't join the pilot, you can also join as a 30-day free trial. So we do allow people to try it before they buy, but hopefully everybody's going to take advantage of the pilot offer and get a free license for the remaining of the school year and having access to all this bonus content.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great offer, very generous offer. So we've got another question around if there's an app for Nualang, or is it only accessible via the website, and does it work on all devices? Are there any issues around accessing it on a phone, for example?
So I'll take this one, Stephen. So it's a web app, which means it runs in any browser on any device. So it automatically resizes based on the phone, tablet, phone, desktop. And it works on any browser or modern browser. I won't say any browser, any modern browser, Chrome, Firefox, etc. So that way that there's nothing to install for the students. They just use a device, whether it be their own device or a school provided device, they have access to it.
That's lovely. Fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much, everyone, for your questions. A few final thoughts maybe from Esmeralda and Vincent, if that's okay. Possibly you've said everything you wanted to say, but a few final thoughts based on what's been said so far, particularly in relation to the current GCSE and the new GCSE, because I think you've both done a great job in explaining the sort of content you put together, but maybe a few final thoughts for teachers watching maybe the recording of this and thinking how they can put this into practice. I think some practical advice would be really helpful. Esmeralda, over to you.
For me, this just works, and it's just a scaffolding and flexibility. And another one, modeling, because what I wanted to present with this is just the students with model answers that would give them really good points, and at the same time they could use later as well for the writing as well, analyzing the progress and how you can go the scaffold, the whole progress until you actually go to the questions. Yes, and they are on their own as well. So perfect for a mixed ability class completely, because you can have people working at different levels and different scaffold basically throughout the process.
That's lovely. Yeah, very well said. Thank you. And Vincent, any more?
Yeah, I think one thing at the moment is people are talking about chatting to AI, for example, having that as either typing or maybe getting into being able to talk to it, literally talking to it. But what Esmeralda was just saying about this being scaffolded, this is, we know what the exam is, we know what the vocab is, we know how the points are scored. So these are model answers that will get the marks at GCSE with, full sentences, opinions, reasons, examples, tenses, and also trying to keep recycling the language so that they're not one-off answers that you learn. You can't learn the whole GCSE as a series of one-off phrases. You have to be understanding how to give opinions, how to justify them, how to do verbs, how to do tenses, the importance of the high frequency vocab. So these are very structured, and it works for the current GCSE, and it's the structures for the new GCSE as well. So if you just start chatting to a chatbot, you can go off on a tangent, and it's great, but it's not this careful modeling of what's a good answer that's going to get the grades that we have to teach.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you. That was brilliant. I see we got another question in the chat, which is lovely to see. So the question is, this is a free trial feedback form. Is there a different form to join the pilot scheme? So if people want to join the pilot, Malachy, for example, what would they need to do?
So just send us on there, send an email to info@nualang.com and just say they want to join the pilot, and we can arrange it from there. If that's easier for them.
Lovely. That's perfect. Okay, well, I think it's been a very successful webinar. I think everyone's learnt a lot. It's been very smooth and very well done, I think. So thank you so much for everyone who has come along for an hour with us, spent some time with us learning about Nualang and the new GCSE content. Thank you so much to Esmeralda and to Vincent for not only your time on creating the materials for Nualang, but also for presenting them so beautifully this evening and explaining the different ideas we talked about, the progression, the modeling, and so on and so forth. And of course to Malachy and to Stephen as well for being able to answer all the technical questions, which I wouldn't be able to answer personally. So that's been very useful and very helpful as well. So it's been a real team effort. So thank you ever so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. If you're in the UK or in New Zealand, have a lovely day. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. So just to clarify, the recording will be put onto my YouTube channel, which is available at youtube.com/@ as in the @ Joe Dale, and that will be probably at some point tomorrow, because we're going to do a little bit of editing and make it look absolutely perfect for everyone, and that will be available at some point tomorrow on my YouTube channel. And I'll obviously along with other people be sharing it on Twitter, on Facebook, and so on and so forth. So thank you ever so much, everyone, and see you at the next one. Take care, everyone.